Okay, so about 300 people watched. Well, maybe 100. You know what? I'm not even starting over. I don't even care. About 100 and something watched it, so that's half of what normally watches my stuff. I mean, and I'm really doing this for my therapy rather than whatever. Because some of it I've never really spoke out loud. So we went over the birthdays. I I was about 11 when my cousin came over and stayed the night, and she was, I think, 15 or 16. Well, we snuck out. Yes, it was my fault. We snuck out to go meet her boyfriend. Well, he had a guy with him. And that night, bad things happened. Let me put it TikTok appropriately. I never told anyone uh, until my mom called me and I was living in upstate New York and told me that he had passed away. And that's when I finally voiced it. And I had kids. I was in my late 20s. So that happened. So when I was 12, um, there was, I guess you would call it abuse. It was abuse. That it was abuse. Uh, I remember one time she sat on me. She called the cops, and back then the cops was called, and you got tours of the children's home because you wasn't behaving correctly. Um, she just threw me across the room. She she drew blood from my sister with a clothes hanger, and so she decided to write her a letter. And this was when I was 12. We had gotten into this huge big fight, and me and my sister did fight a lot. And I think I was bitter because, and I know now as an adult, it wasn't her fault that she was treated the way that she was. I fidget a lot when I talk, so because it makes me nervous. So she wrote my sister a letter, and it told her that she loved her more than me. Uh, she would always love her more because she was firstborn, and she would always get more. And that done something to me. And that's when I really started behaving badly. I got into illicits. I didn't care because it was like, if my own mom don't love me, what does it matter? I mean, I can remember all of us as I was growing up driving, all of us in a car driving down the road and being like, it's a good day, Doc, and just run off the road like misfits find misfits. And I did. She put me in a different school. It got worse because I found misfits with more connections. And finally, at 15, she kicked me out of the house and said, you are no longer my daughter. I seen her in Walmart one time after that, and she didn't even acknowledge me. And I was like, Mom. She said, I don't know who you are. That chipped away a little bit more. And there was a couple of people that helped and, let me stay wherever. But I have lived in some bad places or stayed. I can remember one night I stayed in somebody's closet. Um, I've stayed outside. I know what it's like to be hungry. She let me come back home when I was 16 going up. I was 17 or fixing to turn 17. I'd quit school I worked at Sonic and I babysat kids. And she let me come back home. It didn't go well because I'd done been living on my own doing what I wanted to do. And that's when I decided to go and see my real dad in Leesville. And I never went back to my mom's. My real dad's a whole different story. We had a very strange relationship. It got better, and we're better now. He has dementia, so he grounds me sometimes when I talk to him. But it did get better. And a lot of it got better because I grew up. The situation with my mom, when I started not expecting motherly things from her, is when we got and had a better relationship. I got in church when I was 17, and I went to church very messed up. I went to church with my stepmom, and I got the Holy Ghost, and I went into church, and I was pretty messed up, and I walked out stone cold sober. And when I laid my head down that night, it felt like that was the first time that I ever felt love in my life. And I haven't touched the stuff again that I was doing. And that really kind of set my mom off, you know. But my mom was a good person to people, but like, I guess they all kind of knew, you know, because I was mouthy. I didn't care. I was just like, yeah, all that, I don't care, I'll show you. But I can remember that when I was 17, it felt like that was the first time that I had ever really felt love. And my stepdad, my mom's been passed away almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years. I can remember me and my dad, my dad, he raised me since I was 8. Me and him have talked since, and I can remember, or we kind of talked about the situation in the letter, and he said, I knew then you was never gonna be the same. And I wasn't. And it was just, I was constantly looking for love all the time. And that put me in the situation that I'm in right now, because I didn't want kids to go through what I went through. And I didn't realize how thin I was wearing myself. Because that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. And we'll get more into that later. But yeah, so that's that part of the story. And I know it was kind of all over the place, and it's long. But like I said, I guess this is more therapy for me. So y'all have a good night. Let me add one little tidbit. So much more happened. I'm just, I guess, getting on the points that really affected me, I guess my core. And there are others that will come along.